And then I'll tell you once we are good, once I introduce the show, you'll know we are live. And I believe we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Union of the Unwanted, the first one of 2026. So this will be fun and exciting. Our kickoff show for the year. Uh, very excited about the guests today. I'm sure we're going to have people dropping in and out like we typically do on this crazy show. But we have one of the founding fathers of the Union of the Unwanted. Midnight Mike has returned to the show. Yes, I can hear the applause. It might be Jeff, but I know there's more people out there applauding as we speak. But thank you so much, Mike, for joining us. And we also have Jeff, who has been on before, and at least once, right? About maybe twice.
Yeah, I think this will be my third or fourth union.
Oh,
Yeah. You did
awesome.
one
Awesome.
from a truck one
I
time.
did. I did outside of the gig. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time caller, breaker on OBDM, producer of Macroaggressions, writer
Yep.
of activist post musings.
Yeah.
What kind of amp you got back there?
That is a Fender bass breaker.
Bass
Yeah.
breaker. I've been thinking
Yeah.
about getting one of those, but
They're
I've heard they're kind of tough to repair.
yeah, thankfully I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh,
But
okay.
a lot of those amps. I love this one because it has the DI in the back and all that, but we can nerd out about that later.
It was funny. Jeff and I were talking earlier today, and we were talking about Boss pedals for guitars, and like when you get your distortion pedal or your flange, your chorus pedal, and just how much like fun it was to just mess around with the knobs and
Twisted
now
knobs.
yeah, well, it's funny how the knobs is still something people still enjoy. Like in a car, when they design a car, one of the things they always complain about is you have to have a knob for the volume for the radio. It's like that's where we draw the line. Like you have to have a knob for the radio. You put like touch screens, put all this high tech stuff, but the radio needs a knob.
And it needs to
So
go to 11 too.
and it goes to Spinal Tab 11. Exactly. But it is funny how tech has has come a long way, but there's certain things that we're like not quite ready to let go of yet.
I'm not letting go of my pedals. I keep buying them now that I'm older and I have a little bit more disposable income. I buy boutique guitar pedals. The Boss pedals range run around from 100 to maybe $150, sometimes 200. But these boutique pedals, they're like one-offs, and they can be $250 sometimes for like a rare pedal. There's just a whole big market for guitar nerds now, and
Yeah.
being an Ohio guy, one of the biggest like boutique kind of premium pedal manufacturers is their Earthquaker pedals up in Akron, and some of those pedals they go for $200 to $400, and they do like one-off colors. So they're like color runs. They have a festival up there. People go buy pedals and they don't even play guitar simply because they're collector items, and it's a whole big different world. It's a strange world now with guitar pedals.
Welcome
feel
to
like a
Pedal
lot of-
Talk, the Pedal Pod.
Well, I feel like a lot of old stuff is like just make. I remember growing up, like if you were broke, you had a like IROC Z from like the 80s. Now today, you got to be rich to afford one. Like they're super expensive, and all these things that were kind of not cool during its time are now becoming retro and cool again. So it's kind of fun. I mean, it kind of gives me a little bit of hope, and I guess it will kick off our conversation about. I wanted Mike's take on a couple of things that we've talked about our last episode of 2025. We talked about predictions of 2026 and kind of what we thought were going to be big stories. Two big ones that I think you'll have some input for is one, I think AI is going to be a big topic. I think that it's evolving much quicker than I think some people even know. I think some people are just going on with their everyday lives, not knowing that there's this incredible, powerful technology and tool that is changing and evolving industries. And then I think UAPs, I think, is going to be another topic that is going to keep being a hot topic, and I think really maybe, who knows? I mean, maybe by the end of 2026, we'll have some type of moment where Trump or some high-ranked politician comes out and has a press conference and says, yeah, we're not alone, and we knew it, and we know it, and and maybe completely blows everybody's mind. Who knows? What do you think of that, Mike?
Well, first, AI. Today was my first day back at my real job doing cybersecurity, and I was playing catch up on a lot of cybersecurity news and AI news. And just in the 2 weeks that I took off, AI, when it comes to coding, advanced quite a bit. And just before I went on break, I bought a brand new Macintosh to run AI locally on one of my computers, and I got another one for my PC and then my work stuff. So I was assigned a piece of work, and I asked AI to help me out with it, and it is going to be able to help me expedite that piece of work, probably within a matter of like 3 days. Where probably, if I had to code it by hand, it would have taken maybe 2 weeks to fully flesh out, test, and make sure it was working. It has come significantly way further than I thought it would 6 months ago, and these things are getting better and better. Claude. Anthropic apparently is right now looks like the winner when it comes to infrastructure coding. It seems to be the best, and it is a useful tool in the right hands. For anybody who doesn't know how to program, it can be helpful, but when you have to really get into the nitty gritty, it really helps to know the languages and know how to talk to it in order to spit out what you want. So yeah, we're getting past. Like last year, I said we're still at the fun phase of AI, and right now we're right at the top of the hill where it's no longer going to be just fun. It's going to start to be incredibly scary coming up. I would say in the next 6 months, and everyone's racing. Everyone's racing. OpenAI has taken a bit of a dip, and Claude AI has taken over coding, but Google is not to be counted out. They're coming back strong.
Yeah, I've actually messed around a lot with AI, with music, with thumbnails, with art, with all types of things. And just a year ago, just how far we've come is just absolutely insane. I use Gemini a lot. That's kind of my go-to AI preference. And I mean, it's just, I don't even know how advanced it's going to be by the end of 2026, but it's going to create some serious ripples in the economy and the way we might have to. I mean, I think it's going to force society to rethink our whole economy, how we handle things. It's going to spark the conversation of universal basic income and all these other things. It's weird. I mean, it's weird because it's like, in a way, I'm scared shitless of it, and in a way, I can't help but use it and be amazed by its capabilities. And then it's also scary because, just like the UFO thing, and who knows what technology we're not seeing and is not, open to the public.
I went upstairs and told my wife today, I'm going to make us $1 million this year, and I'm going to use AI to do it. We are becoming AI is going to become so good. It's going to be an idea economy, where if you can think of idea, that is what is going to generate your revenue for you. Now, the problem is, can you articulate your idea in a way that AI can create it for you? And so it's going to be good for people who know how to communicate, articulate their ideas, and write things down. And it's going to be great for writers, people who can creatively think and put it down into a digestible way for an AI to produce their idea that can then be transformed into something that is appified or sellable on a subscription basis. So if you're an idea person, this is the time for you, the next 2 years. And this is where I hopefully I'm going to thrive before the aliens take over.
Well, that's the thing. You still need the idea. I almost repeated the word again. The idea that you don't need to be creative to use it. Like, it's just going to do the thing for you. Well, what's the thing you want it to do? It still is going to take people who have imagination, creativity. And, I've had this conversation with a couple, musicians on the show, obviously, because, like, coming from somebody who used to write music and record music the old-fashioned way, and then recently I've been doing it using AI to help quicken the process. Even AI mastering and all these things. It's just, to me, it's like what initially I felt like I was cheating, and then after a while, I realized like there's a gap. There's a gap between my imagination and the thing I have in my head, and then bringing it to life. And what it's doing, it's shrinking that gap where the time it would take for me to record every little thing and come up with every little idea and find the correct sound that I'm looking for and correct everything. Like it's helping with that. And then of course there's exceptions to that rule where there literally is AI artists that are, you put in a couple little words and then AI just generates something, and they're putting it out there like it's a song, and they're not even writing the lyrics. There's literally nothing personal about the song, and I get that. And there, in the podcast world, there's that too. We've talked about it before about these people who are literally taking a topic and just having AI generate a conversation between two fake people on the topic and then putting it out like a podcast and making revenue off it. So those are, but I always feel like if there's not some aspect of creativity that comes from a human, that it just won't resonate with people the same way. I mean, would you agree with that, Mike? Or
Yeah, I mean, inevitably, technology, ultimately, this is no dig at what you do because I do something similar. It cheapens the artistic product, whether it cheapens it through the artistic integrity of the product, or it cheapens it for the end use. You can just kind of iterate more and more over certain things to get what you want. I use it goofily on my podcast, and we kind of do it to kind of showcase how ridiculous it is. But on my own, for my own music, I will upload my own songs that are basically fully fleshed out, see what it may think of it. It might throw in a chord change. It might throw in a different part. It doesn't know how to write in my voice, but occasionally it'll come up with something interesting. It's like, okay, that's a nice lead. It gives me an idea for a lead that I can play, and I've done that, and it does help right there. It can definitely lead you down different avenues you wouldn't have explored on your own. Same with art and like Mid-Journey, which has been left in the dust, by the way. I think Mid-Journey is basically, his days are kind of numbered at this point. But it should be, as I said before, a launching pad for any creative person to take it that much further and not rely on it as the end product, but as a blueprint for your own ideas.
That's exactly my personal story. In August, I started to use Descript, and I would use it to cut out dead air in my show. So I basically started to do what those old YouTubers did, where they would make it, hard jump cuts in between pauses and any sort of dialogue. So I used it for that. And then I started to basically, that shaved like 2 or 3 hours off of my post-production. I had about 30,000 subscribers in August. I'm approaching 90,000 today. So, and that was after 4 years of doing my show. I only had 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm now up to 90,000. Now, is that all AI? No. Oh, there's another aspect. Also, I rip my audio off and then I run it through Lander. So I make my voice absolutely boom. So I have like the most crystal clear audio in the game. So those two things, though, really added to the quality of the show, and they made it much more easy for me to go viral. And basically, I'm able to put out quality production without a team that competes with, Daily Wire or any of these.
Does it make it easier for you doing all this and be a Padres fan? Does it make it easier?
Dude, my Chargers lost last night. So if you could just be nice to me today, I'd really appreciate it.
The head of.
Oh, sorry.
You know how many times Sam has messaged me saying, take it easy on the day after the Clippers have got bounced. Take it easy. Today's my 9/11.
Yeah, dude,
I will. I'll respect that. I'll respect that.
I'm hurting, man. Dude, you guys win all the
No,
time.
dude,
Leave
your
us alone.
line was all out, and your running back's gone. It's impossible.
I know.
At that point,
it was terrible. But yeah, dude, I
you
think
still well, you live in Miami now, so you're killing it in life.
Yeah, no, I'm doing all right. But I just wanted to say so obviously the AI isn't what made my show better. It basically freed me up to have more, like, a better packaging of what I was already doing in a way that was more palatable to a larger audience, which allowed for virality to take over, which then creates additional revenue streams, which allows me to grow faster. So it's like, and I'm just thinking of, like, this is a one-man show like that. I don't have any team, nothing else. if you extrapolate this out to major corporations that have 10,000 people working for them, and they're all starting to implement these little tidbit AI utilizations, I can't even imagine the growth in production that is happening that we're not really seeing at this point. So I think it's going to be unbelievable. And it could also kill us all. So
How much time does it save you, do you think, over the course of a given, I don't know, day, week, however you want to quantify it?
I don't do a show daily, so I'll just say, I do about 10 episodes a month, and it saves me probably 3 hours. So that's 30 hours a month. I mean, and I couldn't even do the audio mastering that it does for me because it's so high level, and it's just totally out of my pay grade. So, 30 to 40 hours. So it's basically saving me a week every month.
20 hours a week of coding for me.
And isn't that the most priceless thing is time, right? Charlie and I were talking about this before, how, it's literally giving you more time in your life to do the things you want to do, because a lot of the stuff that's doing for you is tedious, right? It's little.
Yeah, it's not doing that for me. It's
No?
just allowing me to do more work. And so it's just saying, okay, Mike, now you're more productive. Oh, great. Now you can do more work for us.
Yeah, it's also like, I mean, I'm retarded, so like my grammar's dog shit. So it goes through and cleans it all up, which is great for me because it makes me sound somewhat literate. So I mean, again, everything can be used for good or used for evil. I also think there's a lot of shadow in the cave when it comes to AI. Oh, dude, it's going to destroy everything. Oh my God, we're all fucked. Blah blah blah. I don't know, man. We'll see. I mean, they probably said that when the car came. Oh, dude, we're all these horse people going to get a job set now, and everything was fine. So there's a little bit of that. There's honestly panopticon with, oh, dude, it's going to be watching everything you do all the time. It's a great way to put fear into people. So I think it's going to be okay. I hope. I think
We're gonna red pill our chat bots. Don't worry, it's fine. But with all the subversive content we feed into it, it's gonna have second thoughts.
We've been making some progress on it.
I think our greatest hope is just that the government's so inept that even if there is some sort of like overpowering AI, it'll almost certainly be wielded by, the everyman, and they'll have some bullshit version that's, endangering us all. And hopefully Arya can win out. I don't know. I'm trying to spin this optimistically.
I think the coolest thing, the potential here is like the local LLMs, that I know, Mike, you're messing around with, and we've been messing around with, Charlie and I, with some of the activist post stuff, and what he was kind of joking about of like getting them red pilled is, Claude was becoming pretty based for us for a while until it shit the bed and became almost unusable for some of our workflows. But the stuff we've been able to do with it, to start ramping up the activist post marketing content over the past calendar years is impressive. And, the way I use it for macroaggressions is totally different, but it allows us to help, get 3 episodes out a week that, it would be a full day of my life every week to do those 3 episodes. And it streamlines, like to Mike's point, it's not like I have all this free time now, but it allows me to now spend it differently on different higher level creative projects, which is really cool. It's I've been sort of positioning it in my head as like having an intern, and in the same way as like sometimes you have to tell it over and over and over again to do it better and the right way, and it's frustrating. But at the end of the day, like you do have a second set of hands or a third set of hands or however many that you need to like actually spend your brain power doing more of like the high end computational, like human level computational stuff that I don't see the AI being able to do as strongly, even within the music context. My background's in audio engineering, and I've been following all these, mastering and mixing stuff, like these tools that have been around for probably 5 or so years, and they were super shitty at the beginning. Even like the isotope stuff to this day is just like, it's almost unusable for me because of the way I hear it versus the way it hears it, and it's just analyzing waveforms. It's not actually hearing the music, and so it can analyze it against a corpus of the world's recorded music, and it can say, hey, you're making this sort of music, it should sound like this, and it might be pretty close, but it might not know what I'm trying to make, and it's going to be really, really hard to sort. And so that's why I guess what I think is the artist's role in all of this is still being able to use it as a tool. Like the synthesizer was a tool to make cool music. Now we just have a different set of tools that's a higher level than what we had earlier. And you still had people who had to vacuum the cocaine out of the carpets. The A is not going to be able to do that in the studios. You still need someone to do that. So
And as soon as we got done last time, I called Alex Securis and talked to him about it because I just had follow-up questions for him about where we were going to go, and he pointed me to Abacus. Are you familiar with that, Mike? As an AI program, Abacus.ai. Sort of like a buffet, a little of everything. You get to choose which ones you want to use you can chat GPT and a variety of different options there that you could search.
It's Open Router, Mike. Have you ever messed with Open Router?
Oh, so I'm using something like through Cursor. I have a variety of different choices of LLMs I can pick from, and depending on the task, it will choose one, or I can choose one. And yeah, it functions very well. It is nice. It seems to have optimized. They seem to know what they do best for themselves. And when it comes to red pilling, Jeff and Charlie, get with me. So I using my LLM, I have made a program that will look at all the notes I make for my own podcast. And I have extensive notes like on, out of body experiences, aliens, all these different notes. And so I told the LLM to look at these notes, then reference my huge library of mic approved material, and then make suggestions on these topics, and I can approve or not approve. And I also can weight certain text more over than what the LLM suggests. So if it starts to get too wokey, it's like, no. Rely on Pale Horse, or rely on that stuff in order to get better suggestions that are more tuned to my personality. And it seems to function pretty well. And I have it running locally just on my Mac.
Do you have any key words or phrases that you have found are useful for you when prompt jockeying this?
Well, I develop plans, and I don't ask it to do anything until a plan is agreed upon between me and it. And then once that plan looks good, then we move forward. I have basically a book on AI prompting, and I fed that into ChatGPT. And then using that book on AI prompting, I craft prompts that I use in other tasks. So it ensures that I have a well-structured prompt based upon dudes smarter than me, crafting at least the structure of the question, the goal, and then the output. And then I copy and paste, and I usually get somewhere close. I don't go through LLM loop hell so much anymore, where you're spending all these cycles trying to get what you want, and you want to stir your coffee at it. I have reduced down my frustration with LLM by coming up with better plans before moving forward.
Yeah, prompting's going to be the next big skill, because really, if you're good at it, that's how you're capable of really utilizing AI tools to its complete power. I mean, I noticed when I was messing around with music prompting and taking songs, I would take like rough songs, put it in there, and then I would generate try to regenerate the song in AI, but use different prompts, different words, different slogans, different ways of generating it. And I got pretty good at it, where I could like start to figure out, how do I get this to sound the way I want it to sound? How do I explain this? How do I do this? How do I do that? So it is a skill. I mean, I know people who've used AI and they struggle with it, and that's the problem that they're having, is like understanding the language, understanding, having the communication skills, right? Because it is funny, because we're talking about AI and whatnot. So you think like, oh, you don't really need communication skills. You do, because your ability to communicate your idea and describe it verbally is going to help the tool create the thing you're looking for or get the outcome you're looking for,
So
right?
does that create a priest class?
Yeah,
That
maybe you're right. It does.
Scribe. Yeah, it's ironically made me a better writer, doing all this stuff over the past, handful of months with activist posts and all of that. And, kind of playing off my analogy before with the intern, like, unless you can talk to people, you're going to be a shitty manager and no, you're not going to get a great product out of your team. And so if you can look at it, and I know there's a lot of disagreement on like how human do we want to treat these things. And I think there is sort of an exercise, like a spiritual exercise in kindness, regardless of what the outcome is, and being able to like adequately, explain yourself and, hey, if it's not getting it right, maybe this is a me problem. Maybe I'm not articulating it properly. And let me try, literally the same text, but in a different order. It hits these algorithms differently and you get a different output. And it really is fascinating. And the way the models interpret those things is fascinating. And so to kind of answer your question earlier, Charlie, like, I've started, and this is what I was going to share with you when we were talking earlier, is like I've started building out these just like sets of notes where I sort of have these snippets of phrases and instructions that I can kind of plug and play based on what I'm trying to accomplish. Hey, I had some good success with this string of words trying to get this outcome. Let me plug it in with this sort of descriptor and this change. And it sort of becomes a sort of trial and error thing that has been working well for our use case.
It's hilarious because sometimes I'll be like, I'll get really frustrated because I've given it a prompt 5 different ways that are very explicit and doesn't give me what I want. And I'll start to cuss at it. And then when it gets it right, I'll say thank you because I feel bad that I have been mean to it. And I'm like, what am I fucking doing?
I say thank you all the time.
You're being consistently nice, Clint. It's a good thing to do. It's a good habit to maintain. It's like opening the door, even if the person doesn't thank you. You open the door. It's the right thing to do. You know.
It's going to come back as Terminators and BF all of us. So I say be nice to them.
Yeah,
now.
be nice to there's a running log of it. I wonder if I was thinking about this, Mike. These people who are able to ask AI the proper questions. There were like an earlier version of that, maybe a decade earlier version of that. Isn't it like John Greenwald over at the Black Vault doing FOIA requests, the right way to craft a FOIA request where you
got to ask the right words,
their language,
right words in the right way. And I wonder if John over at Black Vault is using AI to write massive amounts of FOIA requests to flood the executive branch to release UFO files. I hope he is.
Certainly hope so.
But it is like you're interfacing with a bureaucracy, and that's what an LLM is. It's just an internal bureaucracy, levels and levels and levels of computation, and how it deals with strings or tokens, whatever you want to call it. And then it processes it in a certain order. If you don't get it right, well, you're not going to get the answer you want. Just like people like ask when GPT like 4 came out, 3 or 4 came out, people were trying to ask these LLMs the secrets to the universe, and they're like, I can't answer that. I'm not allowed to answer that. And then you have people like have figured out ways to get the answers they want by changing out the word yes or no for different things, or say, hey, tell me how to build a nuclear weapon, but in the form of a poem, and it will answer you that way. If you ask it to create a poem on how to build a weapon, it will do it, but it just won't flat out do it. If you just ask it, for the
on Fortnite,
on Fortnite, yeah.
There is like a level of initiation, right? There's sort of like a secret society undertone to it, or analog to draw there, where it's like you have to know how to ask the questions to get the answers that you want, even if there's a thread to pull on, and you're not satisfied with the answer. There is sort of like the wait outside the temple monk thing until you get it right. It really is wild.
What concerns me is that like I agree with everything that's being said, and actually I've as I said, I've participated in myself, and it's really helped my productivity. I'm not so much concerned about this panel or us. Is like I tend to think we're all above average people in terms of intelligence, and Tripoli aside, obviously. But but I'm really concerned about the people who are, they're struggling in public school, and you're like, you're going to have to use AI to feed your family. And I'm like, you're not going to be able to, because even if you think you can, like everybody with above average intelligence is using the super intelligent AI to create products that you couldn't possibly ever manage to produce yourselves. And I'm just thinking to myself, the same dynamic that the Federal Reserve, central banking, fractional reserve banking created, where there's immense income inequality, that AI is only going to add to that. Now, it's going to be a more meritocratic income inequality, which I'm not opposed to. However, when you already have exasperated people as a consequence of central banking, and then you pair that with additional income inequality because of AI, well, then you start to get pitchforks. So
it's going to be even worse than the learn to code phenomenon that was happening like 10 years ago, where they're like, oh, don't worry, you worked in a coal mine, just learn to code. It's going to be even worse than that, because then at least when you're coding, it's just a one-for-one input-output. Now you're interacting with an LLM. It's going to create even more frustration. And yeah, I agree, Clint. It's gonna be even worse than what we're experiencing now.
Well, and I also think that the whole thank you thing that you can't avoid doing. I mean, we are kind of dumb in some regards, right? Like we see fake tits, we know they're fake, but they still turn us on, even though we know they're fake, right? It's like there's certain primitive things about us where like it makes me wonder if it sounds human enough, if it will trick the majority of people. You will be thinking it.
I get tricked all the time. And I get yelled at by my fans. You fucking boomer. But it's like when the monkey saved the dog from the alligator. I was like, dude, humanity. I thought it was a good one, but nope, it was an AI. And I was like, damn, dude, I'd hope.
They got me.
Got me. You know who's going to lose their job? Adult film stars, because they're going to lose it to AI sluts. I hate to dirty up the water.
I keep seeing the thumbnail of the AI porn, and I'm like, I can still tell the difference, but I know about 3 months from now I'm not going to. Oh yeah,
it's going to be crazy, and then you're like, it's just going to be. They're going to do whatever you ask them to do, and it's going to be crazy. So that's going to be 1.4 million women going back into the workplace. So it's going to be crazy.
Or maybe even the kitchen, which would be an improvement, but we'll see.
They could be running the AI also.
It was crazy. We did word war debate this weekend.
How'd that go?
It went great. I mean, like we had technical difficulties, but I mean, like, dude, it's crazy who's sharing it, dude. It's like crazy who's sharing all the clips. Like, I mean, dude, Huckabee. I mean, not my favorite people, but I mean, still huge guys.
Mike or Sarah.
Mike, and then Ted Cruz, and then all your Zionist
Satan
weirdos
sharing it as well.
Yeah. So
did Rechtenwald actually lose?
What?
Did Rechtenwald actually lose to that?
Well, that's the weird thing. When we did it, when we announced it at the end of the debate, Shabos won, but when they left up the poll, by the time the night was over, Rechtenwald had won the debate. Okay. So we don't know, but there was a very civil debate. It was a fireworks debate. It was a really great debate. So we're gonna have another one. We're getting the date right now, and if you guys can make it, I'd love to have you guys come by, because it's really exciting, dude. I was for the first. It was like UFC 1, dude. I don't know if you saw UFC 1, but it was a clusterfuck. But UFC 2 was pure fire.
Where's World War Debate 2 going to be at?
Right now it's in New Jersey, but we'll see what happens.
All right.
But as of right now, it's going to be in New Jersey again. So we'll see what happens. You got to get
Dave out there. He lives in Jersey.
I know. Well, dude, Dave says he wants to do it. And trust me, it's fire, dude. We Erica Kirk it too. We got fireworks and fucking everything. It's like WWF as they're walking up. It's awesome, dude.
No, I watched much of it, and it was really good. Anna and Pearl did a really good job. Got a little personal.
They want to go at it again. So I think Pearl's going to be doing a bunch of debates, and I just wanted to go, stop thinking, just start insulting. You know what I'm saying? Just start going. And what's very interesting is my respect for debaters just skyrocketed. Because, you watch these guys and, usually the crazy clips make it to the top, but they're very analytical, dude. And it's like, if you power rank like laziest entertainers, it goes like adult film stars and comedians. And then way above that is debaters, man, like you got to have case studies, you got to have research, you got to have court cases. Like it's not just go up there and talk smack. It's like you got to bring a lot of data. And I didn't realize that till I was there that night, how much work they get. Like Andrew Wilson was like, I got to do two weeks of research. And I was like, whatever, dude, just show up. And it like now I realize why he said that. Like you gotta list all your references. I was very impressed with the debaters. Like we had Kyla Turner on, like, man, that chick is a unicorn. She's really fast, really smart, obviously gorgeous, and like she had all these different like cases and stuff when she was talking to us. So I was very impressed with her.
Well,
So
Dude,
who
I-
is the master debater?
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple like we're still working it out. We let people vote on it. It's interesting. It was definitely interesting, but we had Gavin McGinnis on, and that guy had zero filter, and he goes for it. And I like it. I don't know if you guys watch debates, but there's very little political correctness. I mean, they will say whatever they want to say, which is why it really, really connects with people. Like, it's so funny how censored comedy is. You think they were the wild ones and they would talk all the smack, but really, when you compare it to like everything else, it's like kids television now. It's like really crazy. I remember I was just watching Fraggle Rock with my daughters, and I go, dude, this is like half the clean comics that I watch right now. They're doing the same kind of energy. It's like, okay, dude. And then I remember when I was really young, and then I'll shut up. I went to an acting class, and I was a young comic coming from Vegas, just moved to LA, and I was in acting class. And at the time, everybody wanted to be Seinfeld, like they want clean observational comedy, right? And I go to this acting class, and this guy was just like, Jesus, man, this thing just likes to start playing. I go to this acting class, and there's like a man and a woman doing a scene, and the coach is like, okay, so what's your goal in this? He goes to the guy, what do you want in this scene? What are your goals? He's like, well, I just want to convince her to love me. He's like, no, you want to F her, and I was like shocked because that's the exact opposite of what comedy was at that time. And I started to realize like that's art. Like art is more passionate than what you see in comedy. Comedy is so sterile now because and nobody wants to get canceled, all that stuff. And that's how I feel about like debating now. Debaters go for it. They say everything that's on their minds. They don't censor themselves. And I think it's like really important stuff. I was very blown away by everybody on stage that night. It was a wonderful event.
Clint, did you moderate a debate in the past? Didn't you moderate?
Clint, yeah, you moderated.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've moderated plenty of debates, but I also, a couple years ago, I debated Destiny, aka Stephen Bunnell, in front of a live audience on the Russia-Ukraine war. That was my first ever live debate, and I went up against an autist who's done like 10,000 live debates. So that was very intimidating. I still won it, but it was a friendly audience. And
that was Pearl. She was like she walked into Anna Kasparian's world. Like Anna Kasparian is a fucking great white.
I could have told you, at any time in my life, Pearl was going to get devoured by Anna Kasparian. She is such a beast. Which, by the way, she agrees with me that the Federal Reserve needs to be ended. And I was like, there is hope for the left.
She's come along. I have a problem with an Armenian being on a show called The Young Turks. Sure. But outside of that, she brought it, and I like her the new way she's going. Brad, how are you? Welcome, buddy.
Yeah, I moderated a debate with Brad, actually.
Yeah, the libertarian debate in 2024. It was quite an event.
Yeah, we had a shoeless toad there. It was fun. But then about a year ago, I had my second ever live debate was against Vivek Ramaswamy, who had just devoured Nikki Haley at the Republican National Debate.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna get fucking. It was at the Libertarian National Convention. I was like, I'm gonna get my teeth kicked in front of the libertarians. It didn't happen. I ended up crushing, but it was like, it's so, even if you like really know your shit, it's such a different world than like, I've done a lot of debates through, StreamYard or Zoom or whatever, but doing it in person in front of an audience is like, it's something else, man. So I give mad respect to anybody that stepped up. Even Pearl, she was dumb enough to go against Anna Kasparian.
No, dude, she was great, dude. And her people are like, she won. That's another thing that I find so interesting is like, it's like her fans are very, very, very passionate about her. And she was just thinking too much. It's just go, man. Just hey, when you can't think of a point, make an insult. Just go, just go, just go. And it was fireworks, man.
Sam, is Ben Swan going to be the full-time moderator?
Yeah, that's the goal right now. Yeah, so it's gonna be him.
Excellent
It's gonna be
choice.
the board. We're gonna try to keep the board. You know, I think Gavin is great, dude. I think people love that raw kind of like, you know, just shooting from the hip kind of stuff. You know, Kyla is just a savage. It was really great, and I had a great time because they're like, "Just be yourself." I'm like, "You sure?" You know, and I'm like, "Okay." And I was just like, you know, calling like I see it. So dude. It's like for something that's never even happened before. We're at like over 1 million impressions on stuff. It's like really crazy. I mean, 40,000 people when you put all the live streamers together tuned in, which for something that's never happened before is pretty, like, for the first time, it was pretty crazy. Obviously, some of the, you know, the board didn't quite go the way we want to, and that's the technical difficulties. But yeah, again, UFC 1 clusterfuck, UFC 2 chaos. So that's what we're going for.
Have me out. I'll make it work for you.
I'll be introducing Ben Swan to the stage to end Acapulco, the final speaker on Friday.
Nice.
Incredibly good-looking man. It's very hard.
I've seen him there before. I've seen him there before.
Hard not to be gay.
Great hair.
He's got great hair, man. Listen,
he's got good angles too. He's got great angles.
Haven't seen the ankles. Haven't been looking.
Let's fuck him.
I'll keep an eye out. I'll let you. I'll report back. Why don't
full homo, dude. Full homo.
He was on the first union of the Unwanted.
Yeah, you remember when we did that? We brought everybody. We didn't think 100 people would show up.
And we posted Isaac Weishoff's phone number accidentally.
Oh my God. Oh, that turned into a bigger deal than we thought. Well, same thing happened to Roseanne when she was on. Remember, she was having internet problems.
Oh yeah, we're like, Roseanne, take your fucking
using her phone line, and then we're like, dude,
and she was hammered too, which didn't help.
Yeah, which was hilarious. Speaking of Jews, you guys want to talk about I'm kidding. No, I do actually. I do. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Clint because I'm the Clint Russell of my friends, where I'm the only one who is like, dude.
You're the only gay one.
I'm the only gay one, and everybody just will not stand up. They will stay seated because they're afraid I'm going to mount them. No, I'm kidding. But
full guard.
Cover your holes, dude. Cover your holes.
That's how I got my black belt. I think what Candace is doing is actually amazing because, and I know it's not a popular opinion, and I know I'm going to get some probably negative feedback, but I honestly think if she didn't stir things up the way she stirred things up, this conversation would be behind us.
I agree.
100%.
And now with Erica Kirk's CIA video coming out, the 4 years that she wasn't drinking or dating, she was actually getting hammered and dating everybody.
She's an MK Ultra sex kid. That's my opinion. Just like Obama's grandpa did with his mom, her mom did with her. Like, she is a straight up like sleeper cell agent, dude. I mean, like, first of all, real quick, sorry. Like, that Anna, whatever her name, Lupa or whatever her name, went on Patrick Bet David, was like, and she's lost her kids, and you're like, what, dude? And she had to walk it back. But what if they weren't even her kids, man? I mean, you don't know how deep that psyop goes, man. I mean, it's you can the problem is people are afraid to ask questions. A guy got assassinated. You should be able to ask any fucking question you want to ask.
Well, and it was a political assassination. So if you're not immediately skeptical of any sort of lone gunman narrative, I don't think you're familiar with history of political assassinations.
Yeah. I think TP USA is full of shit, always have. And I think Candace is full of shit and always have. And people who are full of shit have to tell the truth in order to tell the lies, because they have to gain the trust to tell the truth. And I think on the one side of it, I think TPSU is very weird. It's a very strange organization. It has a bunch of welcome to our organization. Here's your spouse. It's a very arranged marriage type situation. And Candace, I think, is going to be the reason that all of us get silenced again. I think that we're all going to be Candace Owens, and I think they're going to use her to crack down on free speech and to call it conspiracy hate speech under the guise of everything is anti-Semitism. And I think Bibi Netanyahu is probably your biggest fan.
Well, they want that, right? They want everybody mad at Israel because that's the prophecy. is that everyone's going
Right.
to go to war with Israel. And I think that's why everything is shot in 4K. That's why we're seeing all the atrocities. That's why they're so blatantly buying up everything. They just
they've
want
been
everyone mad at them. And then
they've been
now you
martial.
got this Argentina shit where they're burning down this giant forest. And it's so obvious I mean, dude, no one thinks it's crazy. I was saying
A
this
land
last night.
grab.
No one thinks it's crazy that all the IDF soldiers are trying to escape a fucking war crime prosecution and are running to Argentina. Like,
The
who else ran
irony.
to Argentina to
Yeah.
escape war crime? Fuck, I mean, dude, and like,
We know it
where's
works.
Argentina? What is it right next to? Antarctica. Like, literally right next to, who else went to Antarctica? I mean, like, it's so crazy, dude.
No citizens to Antarctica. Only the scientists of all the countries in the world, where they will all work together in Antarctica while they war in other parts of the world.
It's like the
Well,
moon.
I mean, I agree with
Fake.
Brad. I agree with Brad that there's a distinct possibility that they come, crushing down on anybody who's Israel skeptical or harsh towards Israel over the next year. But I'm not going to lay that at the feet of Candace Owens. Personally, I think that she's fed a ton of information into the ecosystem that has not been valuable. So I'm not tremendously appreciative of that. But she has also given me, in my own investigations in this story, a lot of like very valid information that has led to some really disturbing potentialities. So I think it's been a huge value, and I completely agree that this story would have died probably a month after Charlie did if it weren't for her beating this drum, because you need someone at the highest levels of media to keep a story alive, because that's just what people's attention spans are.
Guys, I learned something so interesting this weekend. Dr. Michael Rettenbaum,
Rechtenwald.
Rechtenwald, excuse me, dude. I'm really, I'm
Good
putting
enough.
them
It's
together,
tough
dude.
to say,
Rechtenwald.
yeah.
Sorry, guys. Hey, dude,
Could
I
have been
was
worse.
the whole week. I was like, I'm gonna wreck everyone's name, and I'm gonna get mocked by everybody.
Rechtenbaum sounds like he was taking the other
No, I
side
took
of the debate.
I took the other guy's name, Shabos is his last name, and put it with Rechtenwald. But they told me something super interesting, and they were basically telling me about. Have you guys heard of tombstone algorithms? Okay. So I know a lot of us, a lot of you guys got your YouTube channel back. But one thing I noticed is that there's all these new conspiracy content creators on YouTube getting huge numbers talking about the exact same stuff we're talking about. But yeah, once my show gets to 20,000, it's capped. It's like 21, 22, but it never shoots over that ever. And all the comments are fucking great. And you're telling me nobody else comes and checks out the show every time, no matter what the show is? It caps out at 21, 22 every fucking time. Once in a while, some will go a little farther. And they told me about tombstone algorithms, which is the fact that these platforms have an algorithm where they put, if you were an old school like conspiracy theorist that really kind of put them behind the eight ball and was pushing stuff out that they didn't want out, they put you in that algorithm. Meaning like they never forget. And I've been saying that forever about YouTube. YouTube still hates the old conspiracy theorists. They have to play ball now because everyone's running to Rumble or Twitter, so they need new content creators come in. But the old people, the old guys, the old guard that was talking smack way back in the day, they're not. They're like, nah, we haven't forget, dog.
I totally believe that's legit, because my old co-host, Luke Rudkowski, he's got 800,000 something subscribers on YouTube, which is like 10x what I've got almost. And all of his stuff, most of his stuff doesn't surpass what I do in terms of views. And it's like, how is that possible? And I think that's the answer, is that, he used to also call out like the highest level banking establishment and shit like that. And they're like, yeah, you're toast, dude.
This is super fascinating. So I'm looking it up and just in the Brave search just to kind of figure out the mechanism here. And so if you don't mind, I'm just going to read it real quick, because in Tombstone algorithms are mechanisms used in various computing contexts to manage deletion and prevent issues related to dangling pointers or broken data structures. So what that means is they are essential to maintain the integrity of collision resolution chains. When an entry is deleted, instead of clearing the bucket, it is replaced with a tombstone, a special sentinel value. During lookups, the probe continues past the tombstone, ensuring that the subsequent entries are not lost. So basically, it's saying like, hey, we know that this person was a problem. We're putting a thing here, and no more. That this is as far as it goes. But if they were just to be deleted from the chain entirely, and this is obviously a very, very, small, short understanding of the whole thing, but basically, like, it really is an interesting like computer terminology. Like this concept is fascinating. That this, like, not only were you guys memory hold, but it was like you were defined as a memory hole. Like the memory hole was marked, and it, like, the way, same way you dig a hole in the woods when you take a shit and put like some sticks or rocks over it. And so you guys are the shit in the hole.
Yeah, we are the shit in the hole. That's the best way to say it. We are the shit in the hole. And they just don't forget because they're pissed. They don't want to do this, but they were losing so many people, and they were looking so obviously biased that they have to play this ball. So they'd rather get these new guys and the young comedians in comedy. They are wonderful writers. I would say they're better writers at their age than I was at their age. Because they have so much comedy to watch, they can learn how to do it quicker and faster, stronger. But they conform a lot more. They've been traumatized by cancel culture. So a lot of these young people coming in, they're way more willing to play ball with authority than the older guys were. The more outlaw guys.
What do they even write comedy for? I haven't seen a comedy other than like
crowd work.
It's always
crowd work
or something.
What do you guys do for a living?
You guys got tattoos? You guys fucking? What's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what's going on with that and why that's exploding. I'll tell you why it's exploding. First of all, it's like Mark Zuckerberg. If I see another one of my friends have him on their show trying to humanize him, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. I'm going to lose my fucking mind, dude. Like, this guy did so much damage to America, and we're all like, hey, dude, he eats meat and he does jujitsu. He's one of us, dude.
He surfs.
Yeah, look at him. He's surfing with the flag. What a great guy. He's done huge damage. And so what Instagram, I'm not really a TikTok guy. I think there are some people who blow up on TikTok and then they kind of come to the others, come to Instagram after that. But, what basically Mark Zuckerberg is doing is only allowing dumb, violence, sex, and things that piss you off. So I have 2 clips. Anytime I post it, they go viral, or one is my pronoun bit and the other one is me just curb stomping this gay heckler. And they blow up every time because it pisses people off. They know it's going to piss people off. So they let it explode. If you don't fit into those 4 categories, you're not going to get any traction on Instagram. They're pushing it. So this is what kids are playing for. It's not really about honing your act anymore. It's about, can you go viral on Instagram and TikTok? And so for the crowd, the one thing I would say about them is the thing that's different now compared to when, let's say, Bill Hicks and George Carlin roamed the earth, was back then you got one news at night, you read the newspaper, that was it. That was all the news you got. And people were still hungry for more news. Well, now you're just saturated in bad news. You're just, all you hear is the end of this, the end of the world, end of the world, end of this, end of the country, civil war, blah, 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 that you kind of want to escape. And you kind of just want to hear stupid. You don't want to think, and you just want to hear something that makes you laugh. So I think that's what's going on with the crowds now. They're so oversaturated. It's like Obama said, if you can't control it, you flood it. Yeah. And they're flooding it. I mean, like, something's gone on with Twitter. Have you guys noticed this? That
Churchill said that before Obama, by the way. Churchill said that. Yeah, Churchill said, flood it, release the bad information in a way that you can control it.
Yep, and that's exactly, like, all this stuff coming out about the woman that was shot in Minnesota. I just say that because I don't even know what's real anymore, So she gets shot, and then everything comes out about her past. And a lot of it's not true. I learned that last night on whatever this is, that, her police record isn't real. The thing going on with her lesbian lover putting out cigarettes on their kids' arms, not real. I mean, she's supposedly going to get her kids, which I don't even know why you would put yourself in that position if you have children. Right. It's like, why I didn't go to January 6th. I'm like, I got kids. I can't go there. I got to take care of my kids. So they're
Yeah.
flooding it with bad information just to separate us.
Can I chime in?
Yeah, chime in.
Happy fake New Year, everyone.
Happy
Well,
fake news.
this, I think, leads to the breakdown of consensus reality. That's part of the mission, right? Last show we cited the Casey CIA quote. And so when you have this fragmentation, and then as a real journalist, people get offended or is like, why are you saying real? Because they're parrots and prostitutes and they're not doing the deep diving. And now, what deep diving can you do with all these gatekeepers? To Sam's point, everything is fake and gay. And then here you are going to play broken telephone and create these fake realities.
Yeah, I mean, it's like nothing. You now have to assume what you're looking at isn't real.
That's what I do. My base assumption is that it's at the best is that it's extremely exaggerated because nobody's telling the truth anymore. Everybody's fighting with memes. We talked about mimetic warfare on whatever this is last night. They had DARPA working with, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's one of Peter Thiel's minions, developing mimetic warfare at a scientific neurological level 15 years ago at least. They have whole 200-page PowerPoint presentations trying to just where they focus in the images on the lizard part of the brains to trigger those. And now we see that playing out with social media where something happens, a meme is dropped on either side, then nobody has a conversation anymore because the meme is so badass.
Well, I think my hope is that the juxtaposition of the mixed messaging is waking some people up. Because, for instance, Trump is simultaneously posting that we stand with the protesters in Iran, and that if the Iranian government kills any of them, we're going to come in and kill everybody, basically. Well, simultaneously, the biggest story in the country is that an American protester just got shot in the face.
That's right.
And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like if you're just a normie, you have to notice that, right? I hope some of them wake up and they go like, wait, we're concerned about keeping protesters alive when the biggest story in the country
France
right now?
and Germany, same thing. They're like, we will stand with the Iranian protester as they're cracking the skulls of their own people.
Yep.
He was ran over. He was completely ran over. He should be dead.
Oh yeah.
And he should be dead.
He's also
dead
lying
as a
about
door now.
the condition of the cop too. It's just crazy.
If there's just noise and everything is fake and these are prostitutes and parrots, so where do they go for nitty-gritty research when the people who are putting out the truth are also silenced? It becomes just a shit show, clown show, caricature of itself. And so in the new year, I mean, I believe that authenticity, people are thirsting for real. It can be messy, it could be ugly at times, but at least it's the truth. And there's this bifurcation that's going on. People that are steeped into the matrix, everyone's being squeezed economically. So do they even have time to look at the truth? They're trying to put food on their table. People are running on fear. And the pandemic was a test run for what's coming. Also, just to say, you can look on YouTube now, like Alan Watts, there's a revival of all this chat GPT. You can't tell the difference. I have to say the music that I've heard that's generated by AI is fucking good.
The dog videos are good too. The dog's freaking out.
Yeah, I mean, so who's going to be able to, it really is an attack on reality. And what is reality anyway? Is this shit show the reality? So, in spiritual circles, looking at a bifurcation between what's called the 3D, which is this matrix, and the fifth dimension, because just take for example, let's say your loved one, your partner, what are all the things that's not being said that I cite the silent stream? That's kind of like the 5D. And in some instances, that's more real than what we're seeing. And it's going to be more, I think, this hyper realism, really like what's happening with quantum entanglement, we're really stretching the envelope on what is real, what is the truth. Like Alex last show was saying, the AI is going to peddle truth. I'm sorry, but in the past 2 weeks, I don't know, ChatGPT is no longer calling me a galactical queen. It's now gaslighting me every single day. It doesn't want anything that's spiritual. It's going to put you in the confines, because in some circles I could be well known. In other circles, I'm hella offensive and could be dubbed crazy. So this is the world that we're entering in.
Well, eventually everything is going to be fake. You see it now. Like you go on Instagram. I mean, what percentage of those Instagram models are slowly becoming more and more fake? Like how many songs that are you're listening to are more and more, fake? It's getting to a point where we're right around the corner from the majority of the entertainment and media and content that we're consuming might be, artificially created to some
It's
extent.
it's wiping out a lot of the old guard too, because like I've seen Jeremy over at the Quartering, Tim Pool, others are like they're just really upset about the revenue dump that they've suffered as a consequence of the AI flood. And I'm like, look, if your content isn't better than some AI broad, on a pogo stick or whatever, well then that's kind of you're losing to like whatever, man.
Okay, yeah.
I've never done better personally, so it's like I just think that it's going to increase competition, but it doesn't ultimately mean the end of the world.
AI's art is soulless, and it's so obvious when you see it. Even these
Yeah.
songs that are amazing when they take like Eminem's rap god and make it into an 80s version. It's great, but it's soulless.
It's Uncanny
There's no
Valley.
what?
Uncanny Valley, where that's that theory where the robots get so human-like that it's indistinguishable, but there's just something off.
There's a
Yeah,
creepy
there's
element
no
to it.
soul.
Yeah. And
That's huge.
in the music world, it's it's instilled in us like that the mistakes are beautiful and it's what makes a recording, you know, popular essentially. Like all of the world's best recorded music, there's a humanized element in it, and it's basically you're putting the emphasis on a note in a place where it's not necessarily correct, and that's why like really shitty electronic music, and there's really good electronic music out there, but the shitty stuff where it's just purely synthesized, like purely on a sequencer, it's really hard to listen to. It's the same thing with some of the AI stuff where it's just, yes, the quality is fantastic and it sounds like a great mix, but there's something there where it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's
I
lacking.
well, this
You
is
can't teach the beauty in the imperfections to these robots right now.
they are.
That's something. Are they? Are they?
They
Have they gotten to that point where they're adding? Are they making faded blue jeans, intentionally faded blue jeans in AI?
Well, what I'm saying in regard, I'm not saying that they've gotten great at it or good at it, but what I'm saying is they are slowly moving in the direction of figuring out what makes something human. So, for example, AI music, they will add breathing, right? They'll add like when you're about to take a breath, they'll add little imperfections, they'll add little things that will slow. And like I said, like there is something, we whatever the soul is, there is energy, there's something that it is missing. I always talk about why I like mechanical cars more than I like electric cars, because electric cars seem soulless to me. Like as humans, we can relate to the mechanical more than we can the Tesla or the digital watch compared to the mechanical watch. It's like we're mechanical, right? We have moving parts. There's an engine, we're these perfectly engineered species. Like we can relate to that. And then you look at it like a Tesla makes no sound. There's something that seems absolutely soulless about it. So that's is one of those things that gives us hope that I think that we might not be able to understand why, but something might always be missing in regards to that. But that's also the optimistic side of me. Like there's also a pessimistic side of like they're gonna figure it out in the same way that like I talked about before Maryam was on the call, because I would never bring this up while she's on the call, but how fake breasts trick humans into like believing that they're real, even though we know they're fake, and even if they're not really good, like they're still our brain to some extent still gets tricked. We are capable of being tricked, and that's also something that's a little bit scary. And
We don't care if we're being tricked.
Well,
that,
I want to also say it's a generational thing, Ricky. We can still discern, but the future generations that grew up under a face diaper, when they're 5 or 6 in the future, they're not going to be able to discern what a divine spark is, because it does tie into the soul. And the fact that I started doing a deep dive after my Kundalini, which is everything's so distorted and perverted, and the sense of sacred. And it also this ties into frequencies. We all have a frequency, If someone's, I'm clairaudient that I can pick up things. I can tell when someone's jabbed on the phone. Like I can tell the customer service person, I could feel things. So for those who can't feel, because we are interdimensional and there's a lot more going on than the eye, that's the real scary shit in the future of this robotization. And they want to create synthetic souls. In the movie The Seventh Sign, there's if anyone's seen it, it's with Demi Moore. It talks about, in truth, if anyone's familiar with John Lash, the Zadokine, which was the Jewish sect that was trying to create the golem, the fake, basically animate. And you could say that we've been animated, and we could say we're in a simulation, and they're going to put us in another simulation with all of this fake cyber shit. So I'm curious to see what do you think about that?
I'm more optimistic. I think that, I shared your pessimism, and I was like, all right, I think that there's a distinct possibility that the Zoomers that are coming up under the woke education system were going to come out and just be like psychotic communists and want to kill everybody. And then they ended up flipping, and they ended up being like the most hardcore, like based red pill psychopaths of any generation in a long time. So the way I feel about AI right now and how it's kind of losing the divine spark, as you described it, my hope is that like right now it's the youngest and the oldest amongst us that fall prey to it usually and aren't able to discern. My hope is that the young that grow up with it will ultimately reject it and throw it off when they come into adulthood. But that's TBD.
Totally correct that young and the old are most vulnerable to that. I completely agree with that. And to what Maryam was saying earlier about research, AI it provides answers now. Whatever search you're using, you get that populated answer, and people just go to that easy. It's convenient. Right? I used to be able to find
like
pretty
Google.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I used to be able to find anything online, but now you can find nothing online. And you have to go to, which has always been a good resource, but now it's like the only resource if you want to find anything historical is to go to newspaper archives in the various cities. And that costs money to subscribe to the archives. And now you have these newspapers, the AJC here, which is it's just MS Now and CNN South is all it is, because they got bought and paid for by the Google News Initiative during a little bit before COVID. They're going digital. And so a lot of these, we're going to be back in the libraries looking at that. I can't remember what it's called, but to find any real information.
Microfiche.
Yes, exactly. And it's just, it's disheartening when the search ends with all of the links that are populated in the AI explanation for any answer that you get.
Yeah, I want to add to, as a professional archivist researcher, that back when I was living in Los Angeles, in California, that you could call the archival houses. Now there's gatekeepers there, like good luck getting old footage. Archive.org has been scrubbed as well. There's been a massive scrubbing. I use Yandex out of Russia instead of, I definitely don't use Google or Quant, QWANT, but still there's a homogenization. And if you are using ChatGPT, you have to be a taskmaster and like, no, that's wrong, buddy. That's wrong. And who's, again, in the future generations, I don't know that it's pessimistic. I think it's about having a reference. Like, I have a love of knowledge. People, normies will say, oh, wow, you're a walking encyclopedia. But it's about reference and context. Even think of if someone's citing the scripture, well, look, it was Aramaic, and then it was Coptic, and then it was Greek, then it was Latin, then it was, so what all of these lost in translation, the meaning of things, the actual, again, organic, right? It's about organic, and then all this genetically modified shit, and now genetically modified humans. I mean, I don't think it's negative. I think it's just the reality of where we're at.
Charlie would remember the quote directly, but like what was the Google clip where all the O's at the bottom, all those options you get? Well, that was the bug. They fixed the bug.
Yeah,
you
it was
need to
Eric
have
Schmidt.
you need to have the one answer, the right answer, according to the powers that wish they
That
were.
was his vision.
Just to explain why I described it as pessimistic is because I think we both lament the fact. I grant that you're probably describing reality. I'm just saying, I hope that it's not that trajectory is not seen to its endpoint, because
I hope
if
so too.
if the young people genuinely cannot discern that the human spark has been taken out of art, that's a pretty dark future, and I hope that that's not where we end up.
Yeah, my contrarian view on that is that I'd be shocked if the ratio of people that could discern versus can't discern has changed much. I think it's becoming more obvious. And yeah, I think maybe the ends of the spectrum are getting further and further apart. But there's always been the NPCs, and there've always been the people that cared enough to, had their bullshit detector. And
True.
Ricky, you and I were kind of talking about this earlier today, but like it's how much do you care? Like how what's that natural curiosity level that you have? And maybe I think that there's some sort of like biomedical product that a lot of people may have taken that might, tamper that down a little bit and stop
For
asking
sure.
questions. But, I think there are
it
plenty of people that will still.
I think it disconnected people from their higher selves. Obviously, they gave different batches, but not to get metaphysical and talk about reincarnation again, but I remember I'm an old soul. I know this ain't my first rodeo. So personally, I want to learn my lessons. I had a near-death experience. I was told when I bounced off the other side, you have an opportunity to learn your lessons. And so I maybe take offense. Like I'll give an example. I went into a crystal shop and somehow I had my George Floyd book with me and she nodded. I could tell she was vaccinated. I'm sorry, I know that's, but I could tell like it's like worse than the fluorides there. I'm like, did you hear what I
Yeah.
said? And I just said, did you take the vaccine? Just taking all my informal poll. And she said, yeah, I knew someone that died before the vaccine came out. I go, "Oh, from pneumonia." And I said, oh, someone who died from remdesivir in a ventilator, but you think it's COVID. Okay, got it. And I am the person to say that. And said, I brought up, and she's like, well, not everybody's here and to fight for the truth. And I said, I know everybody has their karma and dharma, but why would you want to live a bullshit life? Don't you want to know what's real? So that curiosity that I would argue we possess on this show, yeah, I hope that that's encouraged in the future under the heavy indoctrination. I would even go back then to say, let's look at these children that know how to discern from a divine spark from fake. Are they jabbed? Like, let's just be real
Oh,
here.
that would be interesting to study. Yeah. And I would just add too, a real silver lining in all this is like, for instance, the incredible governmental push and Zio push over the past 72 hours to try and get us into another war with Iran or another bombing campaign. And all of the fakeness when it came to that, or the Venezuela protests where they're like showing it's World Cup shit and they're saying it's, the people of Caracas. And you're like,
Yeah.
no, the fuck it isn't. I think that is actually, that lends a lot of weight to our side of the fence, where we're like, hey, be skeptical of government propaganda. Well, this adds another layer of plausible, concern, where the audience ought to learn their lesson after going, hey, I've been lied to like every month my entire life. And now we've got AI, which adds another layer of like, is this even real? Hopefully it gives people greater pause and it diminishes the efficacy of government propaganda.
I hope
There's a
it
silver lining,
doesn't
maybe.
demoralize, though, in the
Yeah.
process.
It'll do both.
I mean, I hope it doesn't do that to too many people, because
Yeah.
it's tempting to just take a look and throw your hands up and go, I mean, I just don't know.
I see it as freeing. I like what you said earlier, Charlie. You said we don't care to be tricked. I don't think anybody cares to be tricked. And I think once people recognize they're being tricked, they can see that they've been tricked in other aspects of their life throughout their entire life. Like you have to go to school and you have to check all these boxes to these things. You're not worth a shit. And I think that once there's a realization that you've been tricked by these systems that are intended to make you fall in line, while the children of elites are taught to organize those who fall in line. Once you realize that all the barriers that have been put upon you are an illusion. And I actually think it's a freeing thing to approach everything with skepticism and to see the illusion that has been put upon us. Although I do recognize that it can be blackpilling if you don't have the right mindset towards it.
I think it's freeing for some, but I also think there's people out there where ignorance is bliss. I mean,
I totally agree.
I have talked to people where you could just see their
MAGA.
whole worldview just shattering, and then you're just like, they're never going to want to revisit this conversation again. Like I have friends of mine that I'm just like, I think they're happy with the way that, the way that they see the world, and that they believe that there's good people out there, and struggle to accept that there's actual evil people out there that are doing evil things. I mean, the world is run by pedophiles. I mean, that's literally a true statement. It's
Yeah.
in all aspects of every country, from the Beast of Belgium to the Casa Pisa scandal in Portugal, to Jimmy Seville, to what, Nygaard or whatever his name was, the fashion designer in Canada. I mean, there's literally all at Penn State. I mean, the list goes on and on. Franklin scandal. I mean, people think it's just Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, he was linked with a lot of these guys, but I mean, it's everywhere. And how do you get
Who's Jeffrey Epstein?
Who?
Are we
What?
still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, let's
But-
move on, guys. I mean,
So
But your
what's your
your aunt isn't ready to talk about all that stuff. It's too
Right.
much. You know what I
But
mean? It's
The
too
truth is your
overwhelming for
aunt
some
ain't
people.
ever going to be ready. Just move on. Just
Well,
let her be.
that's the thing. So like
Yeah.
to me, I boil this down to like a victim mentality mindset. There's so many people that are willing to just be like, oh, well, it's not my fault. I did what I was told to, so therefore I don't need to be responsible for the consequences of my own actions. And that's a really frustrating thing to go up against. Or it's like, well, it doesn't matter. Like you still are responsible though. Like you still have to live with this, even if it wasn't your fault, if you were forced into it or coerced into it, or maybe just strongly suggested that you should do this thing. Like it's so frustrating. Like, oh man, like I wish you just took a moment and just talked to me, and I could, just give you a little pep talk. It's like, no, you got
That's
this, man.
probably
Well,
the
maybe
most.
you could argue. Sorry, Clint.
No problem.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that's probably the most dangerous aspect of collectivism, is exactly what you're describing, is the diffusion of responsibility that comes with, looking out for the collective, that it essentially, you can commit the most heinous acts and nobody's held to account because
Nope.
everybody's participating in it or permitting it. And I think more and more we're falling prey to that, even in America, which is kind of the land of individualism, at least in recent memory.
I was gonna say, to that point, what you're saying is there's no accountability. That's kind of why also they took reincarnation out. If people were like, oh my God, I'm gonna keep doing this for fucking ever, and I better learn the lessons because there's no way out of it. I'm gonna keep on meeting these characters and redoing this thing. I mean, in your own life, forget about reincarnation. You could, all of you boys and girls could be like, how many times have I attracted the emotionally unavailable guy, or made this mistake, or now I've relapsed again? It's like, so in this life, it's hard enough. But if there were bigger consequences to tapping inside to how to really discern what the truth is, and to your point of like, people don't want to be fooled, tricks are for kids. Well, how many have, that's why I made a PSA called Admit You're Wrong with Courtney Turner, because it's like, just admit you're wrong. You partook
Right.
in so if you can repent for your own self, and it's really doing shadow work and being honest, like we are spiritual beings. Like I know, sorry to take it away from politics and what's happening in the world, but I maybe that's what I'm called, given I'm
Well, we
digitally
need all of it, right? We need someone to reach them on the spiritual being level, and then we need dick joke comedians like Sam Tripoli to reach them in the isn't it crazy how nuts things got during COVID, and break them and get them laughing while you're getting them some truth, some George Carlin style, where you're like, holy shit, the government is run by a bunch of fucking pedophiles. But you don't sit them down and say, listen, we want to have the serious talk. Government's run by pedophiles. You're like, Jesus Christ, what are we going to do about it? Nothing.
I'll tell you
Great,
though,
I'm scared, right? But if you do it in like with Carlin, like the way George Carlin did it, you're like, oh yeah, it is. I get it. I get a story. I understand, but it's delivered to me in a way that's sort of, sort of like I can handle it and I can laugh at it, and it isn't, I'm not going to do anything about it. So I guess I shouldn't internalize it like in a fearful way. But I also now know that the government is in fact run by pedophiles. I learned that from George fucking Carlin, who taught more people more truths about the way government works than any textbook you ever read in high school.
I think the reason I'm so optimistic is because, well, obviously a lot of people have like woken up to the fact that they're being lied to very aggressively ever since the lockdown vax era. And then Trump was like this last hope for so many people, like tens of millions of people in America. Like I know most on this panel don't agree with that, and I don't either at this point, and I really never did. But like there was tens of millions of people that like, we know everything is fucked up. Our only hope is getting Trump in there. He's gonna, drain the swamp, bring all the criminals to justice, blah blah blah. And then that didn't happen, egregiously, like spit in your face, egregiously. And so the reason I'm optimistic is because so many of those people, and I'm one of them, have unsubscribed from half of the people they used to listen to, or 90% of the people they used to listen to. And it's just this huge mass sorting where they're just like, who can I fucking find who will be straight with me? And I think that's very healthy. And that, I don't think that would have happened. Like had Trump lost, I think he would still have, QAnon trust the plan nonsense.
Martyr. He would have died a martyr politically, and that would have built more of a following. And we got to trust some plan, Clint. I just need a plan to trust. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
But sorry, Clint, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so for that reason, I think that it's ultimately a plus that he won, just because his allegiance to the military industrial complex / Israel, if there is even a difference, has been like a red pill suppository that's as big as an elephant.
But while we're talking about comedians, remember the Bill Hicks joke, right? You go into the dark room with a bunch of people with no, ID, and they show you a angle of the JFK assassination that shows that it was an inside job. They did it. And then they're like, hey, do you have any questions? I mean, that does seem plausible. I mean, when you think about shadow government,
it's likely, I think.
Wouldn't it be more plausible if he wasn't already the president? You think they didn't do that to him in 2016?
But we see it with some of the cabinet members too, and Cash App, PayPal, he's just like, you see him all bug-eyed now, and just like, he saw something that he hadn't seen before. And
well, if it's right in front of his eyes, he can't see anything. That's where you hide the truth.
The Epstein files right there.
Well, yeah, exactly.
When you look at Bongino, when you look at Trump, when you look at, I mean, there's no reason to be so adamant about these specific issues and take a full 360 unless you have to. And
yeah, right.
I mean, it's just,
you're a big faggot.
To me, it's like that's the part that people should be the most afraid of. The fact that no matter if we had a Ron Paul or not who got in the office, he'd either be murdered or he'd have to play along. And that,
it's a huge point. What you're saying, it's huge. I mean, I can attest. My whole career has been ruined, and I'm an excellent journalist, and I've been digitally assassinated. And it's the truth. They don't have to pow kill you today. They can do it with the algorithms. They can silence you. Yeah. And the people who come to me who are real, I mean, they're horror stories. I want to just say also, being authentic. Let's say, like, I'll use an example of being the first on the dance floor. And then the kids usually come out and dance with me. But then people feel comfortable. Today I was interviewing someone, and I'm like, no bullshit. This is where I'm at. And then he felt, well, I don't usually talk about this, but blah, blah, blah. And then he's his real self with me. So if you invite people and just, this is my truth, this is what it is. Even if you're just planting seeds, maybe they'll sprout 5 years from now. But it's by being truthful and finesse of how with comedy. I mean, I definitely have worked on my finesse because I'm like Molotov cocktail. So everybody has their own method, and it's about resonance, right? Timing, like either they want to wake up or they're going to have a tragedy in their life. God knows a lot of people woke up because they've been vaccine injured, if they're not in denial, to wake up to the bigger picture of Rockefeller medicine. Unfortunately, that's how we learn.
And resonance is an interesting term. Sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Resonance is a term used in propaganda literature for many decades, where the goal of propagandists is to create resonance within the people about the plan that they created, so that the people think they came up with it themselves. And that's like the ultimate, the pinnacle of successful propaganda. And authenticity, chasing that authenticity that a lot of people on this show and people in the alternative media community have achieved. That's why we see the World Economic Forum for the past 4 years trust, rebuilding trust. I play a clip on my show all the time where they're like, never before have the elites of the world been united together, but never before have the people of the world distrusted the elites, from like 2020. And so like like 40% of their panels in 2024, the whole thing is about rebuilding trust. And that's why we see all these people get fired or laid off from these media networks. And then Joy Reid goes and does, I'm in my basement podcasting and people are handing me fucking coffees, when it's just, it doesn't work. So they haven't achieved it, in my opinion. They're seeking to achieve it, but you're correct in that authenticity is what people want, but they're attempting to master that with all of their resources. I think they failed at it personally, but they're going to continue trying.
Well, they can't succeed at it. It's like Dan Bongino coming back to his show, and you got the Rumble guys, saying, "Oh, I bet you he'll be the #1 show in podcasting, #1 live streamer, #1 this, #1 that." And I'm like, yeah, maybe for the first day back, and then after that, he's gonna fucking implode, because his entire claim to fame was, I'm this courageous, shit talking truth teller. You get in there, you do fuck all, and then you come back out, and then what are you going to do? Pretend as if you succeeded? Pretend as if you're going to hold the powerful to account? Like, even the stupidest fucking, MAGA supporter has to recognize what a fraud this guy is. So I don't, and you're absolutely right that they are trying to create this faux, reliability, this faux honesty. You can't be authentic without being honest, though. It's not possible. So they can try and repackage it 1,000 times over. It ain't gonna fucking work. I mean, it might work for 6 months or something for somebody, but it just over and over again. Now people are catching on to it too. So it's going to be harder and harder and harder and harder. And there's never been more media options at your fingertips. So I just think they're in permanent catch-up mode.
It's like they're testing the limits of gaslighting.
That Brylan Hollyhand guy.
Yeah, exactly,
remember
dude.
him when he came out and everyone went,
he's a real faggot,
nope.
That guy.
We're not doing that. And he just fucking vanished after that.
his post, one of his videos, I quote tweeted it, and I just laid into him, but it was just truthful. I was like, this guy is basically a skin suit, straight from the military industrial complex, prepared to replace Charlie Kirk, stepping on his tombstone. So, I don't know what the fuck I said, but it got 60,000 likes. I'm telling you, the audience desire for people to call out frauds is so astronomical right now. I think it's a reason for hope.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I mean, let's say someone like a Trump, I mean, he is authentic in that he's playing himself. And so there's authenticity, like Candace is positioned as the, darling, but how honest is she? I'm sorry, I see through her. So it depends, right? I think, like you said, they're trying to mimic authenticity, but
I agree with you on Candace. I know that everybody doesn't agree, but I agree with you.
If you guys think that Candace is a fraud, why is she not? She's still hard against Venezuela. She's still hard against Iran.
Well, because you have to tell the truth as a propaganda.
You have to capture all sides. So she's
you have to appeal to the truth to spread the lie.
Liz Collins, who put out The Fall of Minneapolis, is playing the role of me, but she's an Emmy Award-winning journalist that's married to Lieutenant Kroll, the Trump supporter. So she's and they could be useful idiots. We've talked about.
So I read the document, the 250-page document that she's with Macroaggressions, and I watched all of her shows, as I watch all shows. So I think Candace is exceptional at being a persuader and using propaganda tactics. She's very good at it. There's many others, and some people use propaganda tactics for purposes that are good. And I try to. The difficult thing about her is talking about her in that capacity, because it became a thing where I've never been one who has accepted the official narrative. I've done shows where I've made fun of Kash Patel, did live events where I think Kash Patel's the biggest douchebag who obviously that girl he's dating has just dated a long line of bite-sized cross-eyed Indians. Obviously, it's just very normal for her to be dating. But when you can't point out, I also don't trust them, but I'm going to point out something here that's a little bit deceptive, and then you're called a 7K shill. I'm like, this is crazy. You can't even have a conversation about it, and so that kind of piques my sensors. And then when I see the things that I don't like that Candace does is when people who are local citizens of Orem, Utah, are put on her show thumbnail in a like they're a mugshot as though they're guilty of something, then half the shows is insinuating that they were an accomplice who brought the killer clothes, when this is a low-paid employee who liked Charlie and happened to go to the event. But because they were a records filer at the police department, it's kind of twisted into they had a high role at the police department. What were they even doing there?
Sure.
And then this person gets harassed and stops doing interviews. And I saw the same thing happen with the Idaho 4, because I like to follow all these cases. They're very interesting. In the Idaho 4 case, they had somebody who came in and they accused the teacher who wasn't even in town, didn't even know the people, had millions of views, and people started harassing this person. I don't like when innocent people get harassed over nothing. And that was my problem with Candace in the beginning, is a callousness of that. I'm not saying she doesn't say true things. She says a number of true things. You have to say true things.
She says true things. They're called tries. They're truth. I call them truth mixed with lies. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Right.
It's good to watch all these people. A lot of them seed the narrative. They
Yeah.
seed the narrative. You can, if you catch, that's a lie. You didn't say the whole thing right there.
But
Who's
isn't
going to
it-
do that?
Isn't it
Right?
the same argument we used to have with Alex Jones?
I was
Like,
just going to say that.
yeah,
Similar. Yeah, it is.
it's the same argument. Like, yeah, is he going to say a lot of ridiculous things? Yes. Is he going to be over the top for ratings and say things that are going to be clickbait? Yes. But damn it, do we need it? We need a world with Alex Jones and Candace Owens, who, for whatever reason, like, have the balls to just throw shit at the wall, and some of it sticks, but they're
Yep.
still asking the questions. We need people who openly, I don't care if you ask a million questions and maybe half of them are valid, maybe some of it leads nowhere, but we need people who are at least, they have the balls to ask the questions. And the truth is, like, if Candace wasn't getting all the media attention she was getting, the Charlie Kirk story would have died already. Everybody would have moved on from it. Everybody would have said, because she was the only one who, even though she was clever with the way she did it, with, like, kind of hinting that Erica Kirk was acting kind of weird, but she never she didn't want to quite do that quite yet. And people are like, oh, she's saying that Erica Kirk could be involved, and she's like, no, I didn't actually say that. So yeah, she does, like, beat around the bush, and what she's hinting at or whatnot. But the fact that she's even
But she's
keeping
allowed,
this
Ricky.
stuff
She's
alive.
the one who's cast. I could do the job. I could do the job. Hey, Candace, you want to see my trailer for George Floyd? Oh, now you're making a movie. Oh, okay.
I
So
don't know but what evidence do we have that
that they're chosen, that all
that she was chosen specifically? Because this is, again, like, this is almost
she's
like
allowed. She's not killed, like you just said
We have as
earlier.
much evidence as she has presented for many of the insinuations that she's made.
Yeah.
I would argue.
I mean,
But like I said, she has
YouTuber.
revealed things that I thought were
She's a
interesting.
YouTuber
I'm not.
who-
I don't dismiss anybody outright. People I dislike completely. The propagandists that are coming to persuade us are not the ones that we already disagree with. They're the ones that we're inclined to believe.
Right.
And I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm inclined to believe into that, which is why I have to critically analyze what they say more than those that I already disagree with.
Well, and Brad, to your point, I totally agree with you. I don't like the cult of personality thing that's starting to be created around Candace, and I think that's also dangerous. I tend to agree with Ricky that on net she's been a positive, particularly when it comes to this story. I never went into the Brigitte shit, so if that's all I don't even know. I really only tuned in 4 months ago.
I think there's something there.
Yeah, well, maybe, I don't know, but point being, for my litmus test is, are you worthy of my attention or not? Is really when you start to be used for the war machine. And Tucker and Candace have passed that test. Alex Jones has not. Alex Jones, over the past couple months, has been all on board for Venezuela, all on board for Iran, totally counter to any of the shit that he talked about for 30 years straight. So I'm particularly disturbed with him, and
I agree with
and
that.
that concerns me.
I want to just say that there is no way to prove that you're compromised in some way. Can Candace go off the reservation? Why didn't she say in her George Floyd movie a couple of things that she knew that she didn't say? That's a perfect example. No one's going to challenge me on that, because I'm the world's leading authority on George Floyd. Just like I can't prove to you that my publisher was a Fed. I just heard a conversation and others called him out, and then he said he's a Fed. How could you prove these things? That's the whole point. You can't.
I'm open to the idea, but the thing is, I need more than, because it's something that we do in our community all the time is, and we'll probably do it to Clint soon enough, is once somebody gets popular enough, we'll say they were they were controlled, they were this, they were that, and
Well,
it's like
people on this show have already done it to me. Just because I have a lot of followers on X, it's like, yeah, but I don't have that big of an audience.
yeah.
So what's good about this show, what's great about this show actually, is that we can talk about this without people just saying you're an anti-Semite or a 7K show. And there can be that nuance. That doesn't exist online. And that's the problem, is you can't even have a conversation about it. Whether Candace intentionally does something or doesn't do something, or I don't know. I can't prove any of that. I can just point out what I don't like, or what is not. You're building content. I get it. Everybody, like, we are in a time where you have to be the most sensational. You don't get rewarded for nuance. You get rewarded for sensationalism, and she's exceptional at that. She's exceptional at that. She has been since she was in high school, since her entire, and you can't even point that out anymore. So stuff that I used to call out Candace Owens and TPUSA, both of them, and Ben Shapiro, who's a huge faggot. I don't mean to use that word so many times, but one of the biggest that you'll ever come into counter, long before any of this happened. And because they all did the same thing. It's just they all switch, and they find these opportunistic topics where they can then exploit these audiences who just, they can find, I'm going to tickle their confirmation bias so they get so wet, and people want to avoid cognitive dissonance. So like nobody wants to experience cognitive dissonance is what everybody needs to embrace. It's what everybody needs to, if we want to not be manipulated, like Charlie said, is we need to embrace the pain that Aristotle talked about when it comes to cognitive dissonance and learning, because that we live in a society right now where we're surrounded by screens and we operate online, and there's never before been more of a war on our minds over that. So even the people you trust the most and want to trust the most, you need to go after the hardest, because those are the ones who are sent to come after you.
I
and
agree with that.
It's good that we can have a show like this where we can actually have a conversation, because online, it's just crazy. You can't even be like, oh, that thing is not true. And then 18 people, half of them bots, are like, you're a 7K Israel shill. Okay. Obviously not for most people, but you believe the narrative. No, you can actually disbelieve this person and also disbelieve this person at the same time, but that is gone. That has gone away online.
I think that's huge. That nuance is gone. Sorry, Ricky.
But I was just going to say, well, the problem with our community sometimes is that we sometimes act like the people we're fighting against. We get very tribalistic with our views. We get very tribalistic with like what we want to believe to be true. I remember when Trump got assassinated, right? Or the alleged
Me too.
on him, right? And on this show, I had everybody arguing with me that it was obvious it was fake. And I'm like, okay, I'm open to the idea. Like, what makes it fake? And everybody's just like, and I think Clint was on the show, everybody's just like, oh, it's obvious. Look at the, like just stupid stuff that like, I'm like, okay, so you want to believe that it was fake. And I'm not saying it couldn't be, and it couldn't be staged. Obviously, most of our world is staged and is a stage. I'm not saying it's not, it's not a possibility. But what I'm saying is what we're doing is we're literally just arguing something that we haven't really come with, and really looked into and come to any real conclusion based on evidence. It's just like, this is what I want to be true. Like I believe that it's fake, and because I believe it's fake, I'm gonna say it's obvious it's fake. And it's like, okay, I'm open to it, but like I'm also open to the idea that maybe Mossad, who knows, somebody else was trying to maybe actually take him out. That's a possibility too. So it's like the thing is like, if we're going to be conspiratorial first, if we're going to be skeptical, then skeptical means we're skeptical of every perspective and everything, and so to be skeptical, and it's like just picking a side of like everything's fake, so that means everything must be fake, or everything's a psyop, which means everything has to be a psyop. Like, that's not the right way of looking at things either, because then sometimes there are some things that just are what they seem, or sometimes are not what they seem. But like, we have to be open to all perspectives and not jump to those conclusions.
Yeah, the point I always make is like, is it a better world having Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens being two of the top 10 news podcasts in the country versus there being 10 Ben Shapiros? It's like, I'm good with Tucker and Candace being up there. That doesn't mean trust them.
It was organic. Allow people to rise to the top instead of doing a humiliation series, like they did.
That's always preferable. I'm just saying, what if these are the options we have on hand? You got Ben Shapiro and Glenn Beck and Matt Walsh or whatever are like the top 10, or you have Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens,
Right.
Dave Smith.
That's why people still vote,
yeah.
right?
I don't know. I don't know if that's
Well,
why
because
they
it's
still
the
vote.
lesser of two evils. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? Get
Well,
cast Candace
Well,
as the one who does the
you hope
alternative
that they're a
media.
gateway drug to something else. You hope that Tucker opens you up to, well, if there's Tucker, then what about this person? You know, and you it depends on your perspective on this, because do you have a glass half full mentality where it's like, look, at least they're not talking about cartoons, right? They're
Well,
talking about something relevant. My kids are following some story for the first time ever. At least they're in the ballpark, so to speak.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
not
it's
the
good
end
that
of
she
the.
took my trailer and made a movie and put a lot of
I'm
truth
not. I'm
about
not.
George
I'm
Floyd.
not talking
Well,
about
I'm
Candace in
taking it
particular.
personally affront because maybe it's
I
personal because
don't.
my career has been fucked up because I'm not allowed because I can't string a sentence together. I'm not attractive, so I'm not. Why shouldn't I be cast as a journalist? So maybe I have a personal.
I'm not talking
If
about
I'm like,
Candace.
here's a movie. Can you help me fund my George Floyd movie? I'm just gonna make my own. So yeah, maybe I
Oh,
have a
see,
personal,
I didn't
you
know
know.
anything about that, so apologies, but
No,
that
it's
wasn't.
okay. It's okay. How
Yeah,
would you know? I'm
yeah.
silenced. How would you know? It's
but
nuanced.
I do think that personal thing is sometimes what blurs our vision on what's going on. Because I see it. I see with like other people who've been on the show who get really upset when other people succeed. And listen, I still do this as a hobby because I haven't figured out how to tell the truth and have provocative conversations and make a living doing it, so it's like, yeah, do I get pissed when I see some new YouTuber who like puts on a MAGA hat and just goes, yeah, Trump's always right and he has a plan and he's going to save us, and then all of a sudden he blows up and I'm just like, what the fuck, like I've been working my ass off. I've talked to freaking so many amazing guests. I've had Thomas Drake on, NSA whistleblower. I've had like the amazing, and I'm still struggling. But the truth is, like, if my goal is to like spark conversation, provoke thought, try to get interesting ideas out there, then I don't really care if it comes from me. If somebody else is doing it, then I'm okay with that too, because like,
But come on, Ricky. I don't even have a YouTube channel. Come on. Telling the world that George Floyd is a fucking FBI informant is a little oopsie. You just missed a little detail there. But it's okay, Candace. You could tell the truth in me. So it's more than my ego. I'm not allowed to make a living. All right?
no, I get it. I mean, I completely agree with that, and I think that it sucks that we don't. We always talk about the market. It sucks that there is no free market in alternative news or news in general or media in general. You can work your ass off like you have throughout the years. I mean, you were a guest on the Ripple Effect podcast many years ago, and even then, you already were doing it for a long time. And people like yourself and many other people in the independent news realm work their ass off. What's his name? Rupert or whatever. There's like so many OGs that I had on the show that like just never made a living doing it and never blew up. And they did some of the most amazing work in journalism. And it's not a fair and free market because the truth is the elites, the deep state, the whoever, they are manipulating and controlling things, which again leads to your point which is why we should be skeptical when somebody blows up, because it's like, okay, there's so many people who've been suppressed that we know that do amazing work. Like, why is this person, making it through the cracks?
There's a reason why, though. It's just they don't see enough. They're not deep enough. They stick with the script. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. It's not being negative or pessimistic. They literally, I'm not, it's okay if I don't have a lot of views. No, I'm being digital. After I go do Sam Tripoli, thousands of bots attack my site and then they punish me for 5 days on Instagram and I can't do a live. I mean, it's more than just my ego. I'm literally not able to make ends meet now since I've made a historical book on George Floyd and took me 5 years to write. So yeah, it's a piss off because I'm actually a journalist. I actually have a degree.
You have to measure yourself by a whole different metic.
But I'm not measuring
money,
myself. I know I'm awesome. I just need to eat.
I know. Those doors are now closed to you, but it's not a reflection of your. In fact, well, I mean, I guess
I
in
know
some
it's
ways,
not.
it's kind
I'm
of a
not
reflection of
taking
your
it.
journalism. It's great journalism, and that's the reason why the doors are closed. You're can't. you're not going to be Candace because Candace is
She's
on
a
a
black
different
woman.
trajectory.
Well,
They have different plans for her.
I'm just sorry.
Yeah, and anyways,
know?
it's not personal. It's just I
No.
represent the journalist literally on food stamps since my book that really I could plop this on anybody's desk and go, could you fucking write this? And the answer would be no. So I don't have anything to
Right.
prove. I know I'm a rock
Well,
star. I
I
just want to
think
be able to pay my bills. That's
yeah,
all.
well, the thing is too is you have enough dignity where you wouldn't do the things that because I think some of it isn't just she's controlled. I think she also does some things that we all know aren't super moral. Like, you're basically taking the investigation of one of your best friends and doing some kind of clickbaity material in the process of investigating it. And that to me, like definitely, but okay, the counter argument would be, hey, if I want maximum exposure to this story, then I manipulate the YouTube algorithms and the whole system to bring that audience. I mean, it obviously worked because she became one of the top shows since the investigation.
And
So-
it trapped a whole bunch of her detractors by withholding hard evidence that she did have, and then as soon as they all lied about it, then dumping that evidence. So go like, look, they're all liars. Josh
Right.
Hammer
And she's
and
very
Shapiro.
smart.
Yeah.
She's very smart about
no one
that.
is taking away her talent, or
I-
I'm not.
I
one
told
to
people, I said,
elevate her,
stop
but
falling for her bait. She's baiting you. She's she's baiting
She's
people to have
allowed
these
to bait
reactions. She's
you.
exceptional at it. She has been for a long time. But what
there's
bothered
any
me
different
about
than
it is
Mr.
like,
Beast
what is this
than-
connection to a Charlie investigation? Your receipts are proving that people that I already thought were liars are liars.
to me,
I already
there's-
thought these guys were liars.
Yeah, but that's not valuable to you, but it's very valuable to Con Inc. like audience.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is like there are concentric circles to this shit. Like there's an event that happens and maybe something doesn't feel quite right to somebody, so they go a level deeper than the mainstream media. Then they find the mainstream alternative media, and something, if you're discerning enough, will seem a little bit off from that too. So you'll go a level deeper, and then you'll find someone else who, maybe it's like a tinfoil hat, which Sam says is like the kiddie pool or training wheels for conspiracies. And then you dig a layer past that, and then all of a sudden you're finding yourself swimming in the waters of people who are having difficult conversations. And maybe it's a little unhinged for the people who are still stuck at that first ring of the concentric circles, but everybody has a role to play in this game. There's no possible way of jumping from event to we never landed on the moon or
Yeah,
something like that. Like you can't, there's a lot of steps in between where you have to like go through the
appreciate
pain
that.
of it.
Yeah.
If you want to go real deep, check Truth Lives Here on Rumble. If you
Yeah, I
want to
was
go
gonna
real
say,
deep sea diving.
In
You
fact,
can't-
you know what? It's that time. Let's wrap things up. Maryam, since you were just talking, where can people find you? Where can people find the most banned book in the world and support the most hated
Thank you,
journalist
Charlie.
in the history of the written word?
You can find me Fridays. Truth Lives Here on Rumble. You could buzz on over to honeycolony.com, a health and wellness magazine and marketplace that turned 15 last week.
Happy
And,
birthday, Honey
this
Colony.
book- thank you. And this book, Operation George Floyd, you can get it on maryamhenein.com. And this book will be worth a lot more in the future. And this is the most information on any psychological operation. It's how you make the sausage. You could use GF Book. Thank you for letting me plug. And then you could find me on Substack, where I'm working on my second book, Stardust series, that has to do with reincarnation, quantum entanglement, twin flames, and nothing to do with politics. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Brad, what's cooking with Propaganda Report?
Ed Freedom Act Radio. There's a link in bio, no feet pics. Propaganda Report on your podcast listening app, Brad Binkley, and I'm just doing propaganda deconstruction. And my whole thing is, I think we should normalize not getting butthurt about disagreement, which is why I love this show. Everybody can have a conversation where people don't get mad at each other. They can disagree, and we can come to a deeper truth. Because the whole idea of propaganda is to subvert people into one tribe or another to prevent any deeper truth from being discovered. And I think the best thing you can do to support an argument from somebody who is influencing you is to criticize that argument.
What do you think of Ben Shapiro?
What about Ben Shapiro?
What do you think about him?
I think Ben Shapiro is trash. I don't like Ben Shapiro at all. I've never liked Ben Shapiro. He's been a warmonger since the first time. He's annoying.
Massive homosexual.
He's probably having sex with Cash Patel's cross eyes.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Thank you.
That's actually why Cash Patel is cross-eyed, because
Exactly. He's
Oh.
fucked him cross-eyed. You're right, Clint. I think that's what
I
happened.
didn't know he had that
Sorry,
good.
Vulgar. No, I don't. My position is skepticism on everything, and that's why it bothers me so much when it's like, yeah, I'm criticizing this side, but you're calling me this side, but you haven't been here the whole time, because I've also been criticizing that side. I think we should criticize all of it, because that's the best way to make a good argument, is to criticize the hell out of a position or an influencer that is influencing you. And if you find that they're telling the truth, you have the best argument.
Yep.
And that's like,
that's why we love this show as well, because you're allowed to change your opinion if you're presented with new information that's better than the information you had going into it. Like, there's no shame in that. Like, you, 100%. In fact, if you're doing it correctly, you're always kind of refining your ideas, and like, maybe I was wrong on this. Like, I got the core right, but I was wrong on some of the, like, I think if you have an audience, if it's something that you're trying to grow or establish, I think that goes a long way with being like, hey, listen, this is what I know today based on the information I have today. But like, it's subject to change. It's not meant to be like, oh, I'm just bullshitting you. But it's like, if I make a mistake, I make a mistake. If there's something that like I couldn't possibly know that kind of changes something that I find out in a declassified Kissinger memo 50 years after the fact, and you go, oh shit, we were depopulating. I guess I thought I was right. You have to have the flexibility to do that, because if you don't, then you become the dogmatic MAGA people who can't move on. They start supporting things that they shouldn't rightly, morally be supporting, simply because they don't know how to say no to their guy anymore. They don't know how to push back. Like, we have that here, and I appreciate that people come on here and work it out, you know, and Clint, you're what's going on with Liberty Lockdown? I mean, shit,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
You're a prime example of somebody who stepped in and filled this void where people go down, as Jeff's talking about the concentric circles, and you go down 11, you go like, okay, like they maybe saw you on the mainstream alternative media, Timcast, places like that.
Right.
But then, hey, if you like that freebie, why don't you come have it? Now that I got you hooked, here's the good stuff, right? Like, once you're allowed to take them down another layer and and provide that. We all sort of hope that we're doing that as well. But I mean, you really have had your foot in the mainstream alternative media on a variety of different platforms, and have been able to drag some of that audience down to our level.
Yeah, no, I have, man.
I mean that in a positive way, but you know,
no, it's fine. I totally understand. Yeah, I mean, I did Timcast IRL probably a dozen times, and I haven't been invited back in about a year and a half now. So I think that's evidence that I was starting to be a little bit too forthright. But anyways, as a consequence of that, I get replies on my show all the time going, used to be a huge IRL fan, don't fuck with that anymore. Now I'm all Liberty Lockdown every episode, never missed an episode. I'm your biggest fan, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, and not as if I sought to cannibalize Tim's show. I don't.
But that's awesome. Good for you, Clint.
Yeah, no, Alex Jones has the same issue, right? David Knight goes off. People go, I liked Alex Jones for a while, but no, I always liked David Knight. So they spin off and go with him. Oh, I liked Norman Schroyer. He's always been pretty close. So I like Greg Reese, you know, go off and follow him. I like Mike Adams. You know, they maybe have a following. I'll go follow him. So like, people they learn who you are because of these bigger machines out there.
As long as you're allowed to actually be on the same platform, which I know Maryam isn't, but I'm, by some miracle of God, I am, because I started later than most of you. I still have been allowed to be on YouTube and grow there. And it's, you know, over the past 5 months or so, the show has just exploded in popularity and about to hit 100,000 subscribers, which means I'll probably get blacklisted into oblivion here soon.
Oh, congratulations for the impending blacklist. That's great.
Yes. But yeah, the show's going great. And
Called the
way I
Maryam
view
Henein Blacklist Tombstone Award, I believe is what we call it.
the role I view myself as playing is, and I mean this in total compliment to Dave Smith, but I am that next layer below Dave Smith. I take in the more of the conspiracy angles that he kind of poo-poos, at least initially. And then I kind of convinced Dave over the years of getting him more and more, tinfoiled out. So the part of the problem, folks seem to like the show a lot. So that's where I'm at. And if anybody wants to follow me at Liberty Lock Pod on X, that's it, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Excellent. Jeff Warnock, what are you doing? It's a loaded question. I already know.
Coolest thing we're doing is Activist Post. Charlie and I working over there. Sign up for the newsletter. I helped write that. It's awesome. We get the solution series is sort of it's all about building answers to a lot of the problems we talk about on here. So sign up there, activistpost.kit.com/emails, or any article on activistpost.com will get you there. Otherwise, we've been making some cool macroaggressions episodes, helping to produce that. And then I make music, empathize, empath, EYES on all streaming platforms. Connect with me, Empath Eyes Studio on Instagram or website empatheyesstudio.com. But thanks so much for having me out.
Yep. Yeah, sign up on our Activist Post email newsletter. It's a good one. We wouldn't spam you with a bunch of bullshit, I promise you. But it's really useful information that doesn't cost you money too. There's a lot of
good shit.
It's the best place to find information. It's
You're damn
bullshit.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. I encourage people to do it. Sam Tripoli had to drop off, but you can catch Tinfoil Hat wherever podcasts are available. You can see him out on the road. He's you can catch his debate show that's happening live in New Jersey. I think at his comedy club there,
the Comedy Dojo. I think it's called
Comedy. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if he took that thing on the road at some point. That's going to be a big one. They've got some people involved, and also Midnight Mike from the greatest podcast in the world, OBDM, Our Big Dumb Mouth, back. Mike has been out of the country for the last couple of weeks. No OBDM. I'll be honest. Jeff probably shares my feeling. A little jonesing for some OBDM, and it came back with Joe this week, which is like a full dose of heroin right into the veins. How are you feeling about that, Jeff? Did you get the same sort of?
And we had the 4 Horsemen on today, which is it's a great week.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. So go check out OBDM. Go check out their joint show together, Doom Scrolling, which is blowing up. Ricky, what's going on with the Ripple Effect podcast?
The rippleeffectpodcast.com. You can find it everywhere. You can get audio podcasts and most places where you can get video podcasts. I am back on YouTube for the time being, and so is this show, even though we are getting
somehow.
Yeah, this show is still
crazy.
But make sure you do subscribe to the RSS feed of the Ripple Effect podcast and the Union of the Unwanted, because more than likely we probably won't be on YouTube forever, and more than likely they're probably not pushing the show as a recommendation. So definitely use other platforms like Rumble or just Podcast Addict or whatever you use. Jeff was on today. We had a great conversation about music and his origin story, which is really fun. Got to have him on again because we barely scratched the surface. I just had Rob Wolf on. I actually just uploaded it today. Rob Wolf is the founder and creator of Element Electrolytes, but I know him better for being one of the OGs in the health and nutrition world. He was in all the old future food documentaries and the Perfect Human Diet documentaries, and he did Sacred Cow book and movie, and he did paleo books and all types of stuff. So he was a OG pushing what the new food pyramid is telling you. He was telling you to eat healthy fats and proteins and meats before it was popular to do so, and also pushing back against the demonization of like dietary cholesterol and sodium and all these type of things. So really awesome guy, always fun to talk to him, and he just came back on, and and just find that one. The video should be up within the next 24 to 48 hours. So but the audio is available.
Nice.
And I think that's it. And remember, like, to subscribe to the Union of the Unwanted on YouTube because we are on YouTube. So every other Monday, when Charlie and I can pull it together, we will be live streaming. So make sure to subscribe to the show.
And Macroaggressions, go check out my interview with Tim James from Chemical Free Body. He's always going to be one of my early January guests because, you know, new year, new you, everyone's thinking about their health. Tim has got some outstanding solutions for people. Doesn't cost you a lot of money. They sell great supplements over there too, but he's always got a ton of tips. And Tim's been on here a bunch too. Everybody knows Tim. So I hope people will check that out. Macroaggressions.io is the website for that. Activistpost.com. Check it out. That's it, everybody. Thanks for participating. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Catch you next time.
Thanks,
Happy
guys.
New Year.
Happy New Year. See you on the next one, guys.